Hello and welcome to this session on how to conduct an effective learner review. So, we know that part of our role as a teacher and an assessor is to review how the learner is progressing on their qualification, and within that review we have to evidence the progression that they're taking. Now, it seems to me that we seem to make a lot of hard work around the review process, and actually it's relatively straightforward and quite simple. So let's look at the start. Now, most reviews want to know what teaching has taken place since the last review. Therefore, if you have your delivery program in week 1 to week 8, you'll have the learning outcomes. So surely in the review, if the learner has attended those 8 classes, we would write, the learner has attended the previous 8 classes and the teaching that took place in these are ... Just copied it straight over. If a learner's missed a couple of those classes, in the review it'll state that. It'll say, the learner missed class A, but the rest was obviously done. Now what we're going to be interested in is what we did to bridge that gap where the learner didn't attend. So the first thing really is, if we had the delivery schedule or the delivery plan, the learning that has taken place is the chunk between the last review and this review in line with the delivery schedule. So if there's no delivery schedule, it's going to be incredibly difficult to justify what teaching has taken place. Now, what they want to know as well is what learning has taken place in the workplace or outside the learning environment. So just having a discussion with the learner, saying, well, okay, at work, what have you done? Now, most of the qualifications that are work-based, the employee would be doing tasks. So ask them, what is it you've been doing? Serving customers, making beds, whatever it is. And you can jot those down as well. So every month the learner is seen to be progressing. And as they progress, we need to have some kind of percentage to the overall aim. So how far have they progressed? Now, if you've got the delivery plan, and they've done those 8 sessions, we would know that that's maybe about 25%. So we can track progression to the delivery plan. So if there's no delivery plan, you are simply not going to be able to track progression. It then goes on and talks about other aims, such as functional skills. But in the delivery plan, we should have embedded the functional skills as well. So in the first quarter, so the first 8 or 10 sessions, they would have carried maybe 2 or 3 of the modules of functional skills, equating to maybe 10% of the overall program itself. So we should be able to just simply go back to the delivery plan and say, this was taught, this is what the learner's done to demonstrate that. So therefore, that's relatively straightforward too. So even if I'm picking up a learner and I've never met the learner at all, if I have the delivery program, I will be able to write the review because I've got the information on the delivery plan. All I'm looking for then at the end of that is a statement from the teacher to confirm that they've been progressing and attending and they've been participating in those classes. Because if they have, then that's my teaching comments. Now, I have to then test the other areas: health and safety, safeguarding, equality and diversity. So it makes perfect sense that we ask them questions about them as learners in their learning environment. So if we're going to ask things like health and safety, we ask them relevant questions such as, so at work, what's your health and safety procedure? Who would you report to if you had an accident? How would you report if you had an incident? And the learner should be able to articulate that. What we must be asking in those boxes, if we're going to do set questions, that's fine, But what we must be asking is, have you had an incident that I'm aware about? But we seem to be ignoring that because we've got down this set question route. The box is designed to make sure that we are capturing if the learner has had an accident at work. And if we don't ask the question, we're not going to know. Equally around safeguarding and around equality and diversity. So remember, it's okay to ask set questions, but only if you contextualise it back to them and it's relevant. But we must ask, any evidence that we've asked, have they got anything they want to report or share? Because they capture data in boxes for us. So let's go back. The learning that has taken place must reflect the delivery plan. Because if it doesn't, it's not tying up, it's not triangulated. The work that we write in the review must be in the portfolio, or we must be able to demonstrate that. So we have the delivery plan, we have the teaching and learning, and it's triangulated. Great. The boxes around health and safety, equality and safeguarding are contextualised and relevant. So if we're going to test the learner to prove that they understand their duties and roles and responsibilities, that's great. But let's make sure we have also asked that they understand their roles and responsibilities. Now, when it comes down to the final two boxes around the employer comments and the learner comments, we must make sure that we are capturing proper comments that reflect teaching and learning that's taken place. So it would be useful for the learner to summarise the outcomes of what they've been taught. So if we've taught maybe 2 or 3 modules up here, or they've attended 8 classes, that in their comments they can reflect how that teaching and learning has helped them. So for example, it might be that they've done Unit 1 as communication, and in the learner comments they just simply say something along the lines of, since completing my communication module, I'm more confident at work discussing or talking to patients or customers because I'm happy with my progression. So the learner is commenting about their progression, but they're talking about the impact, the outcome. What is it it's done for them? Because if there's no reflection, we're not really reviewing anything. And from an employer's point, that's a great opportunity to ask them how the learner is evolving. So not just the learner's turn up or I'm pleased with the service, but some kind of comment that stimulates a proper outcome of reflective practice. So since the learners completed their communication training, I've noticed a marked improvement in the way that they deal with the customer. I'm pleased that they've learnt this skill, it's made them more effective at. I can clearly see the learner is competent because. So we're actually measuring progress. We're actually looking at what the teaching and learning has done to show that the learner is learning within the learning environment. So bear in mind that when you have those boxes, that they have purposes, and the purpose of each box is to demonstrate how the teaching and learning has shaped the outcome of the learner. So going back to our observations of teaching and learning, if we teach something, what Ofsted want to see is the impact on learning, which makes then sense. A review must demonstrate the impact on the learner. The teacher has to assess the impact. The learner should reflect on the impact of learning, but the employer should also reflect on it. It is not a tick box exercise going, learner achieved Unit 1, progressing well, because there is no evidence of that progression. You stating the learner can do something does not demonstrate the outcome. It is about you describing how that teaching has affected the learner. So hopefully what this video has done is shape the way that you should be thinking about when you fill in those review boxes, and that each box in the back of your mind, it should be the outcome for the learner was. So by discussing health and safety, the learner has clearly demonstrated who to go to in case of an incident. They clearly have shown, they showed me the incident report box. We discussed if there were any incidences at work, and the learner has told me there wasn't any. Therefore, I'm happy the learner is in a safe environment. So we're summarising the language as if we can demonstrate outcomes. So, hopefully you found this useful. Please remember, if you've got any problems, talk to the teaching and learning team. We're here to help.